Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. This is part of our stormwater seminar series that will be built out as information to live in an online library for folks out there who want to learn a bit more about stormwater management, green infrastructure resources, and everything in that regard. So today we have Dr. Chris Obropta, who is the Extension Specialist for Water Resources with the Rutgers Cooperative Extension. So without further ado, I'll let him take over. Thank you, Chris, for being here today.
Thanks, Avery. So my name's Chris Obropta, and you notice in the bottom left-hand corner slide is my website, water.rutgers.edu, and you feel free to go to that and get more information on my program. Today we're going to talk about rain gardens and just a real simple solution for almost any existing development. And hopefully you'll see this presentation and want to install one at your house is what the goal is. So a quick overview, I'm going to talk a little bit about impervious surfaces and what they are and how they can be viewed differently. I'm going to talk about disconnecting those impervious surfaces from draining directly to the river with a rain garden. I'll tell you what a rain garden is, why you would want one, talk a little bit about site selection, native plants, give you some examples, and then provide you some information on other resources that you might want to use. So very simple is we have a house here in New Jersey, and we think about impervious cover. We think about the roof of the house. We think about the driveway, the sidewalk, the roadway. And for example, this house here, the rooftop is what we would call a directly connected impervious cover. So we can see when it rains on the roof, it goes down the gutter, goes down the downspout, and is piped right to the road and goes to the catch basin. So every drop of rain that hits that roof is piped to the road into that catch basin. So there's no place along the way as the water gets filtered or infiltrated. It gets piped right into the catch basin, which jumps it right into the stream or the lake or the Barnegat Bay in a lot of cases. Okay, so this is what we would call a directly connected impervious cover. So what we're trying to do is figure out ways that we can disconnect this, because this is not what we want. We want that water to go over the lawn. A lot of people would have that downspout cut and the water just go across the lawn and infiltrate into the lawn. And that lawn can maybe absorb the first half inch, maybe even an inch of rain from that rooftop. Another way to disconnect is with a rain guard. So we could put a rain garden in place. We cut the downspout. We run the water into a rain garden. And that rain garden can absorb, usually it's designed to absorb the first 2 or 3, possibly even 4 inches of rain from that rooftop. So much more than what a regular lawn would do. A rain garden is very simply is a landscape depression, very shallow, usually anywhere between 3 to 12 inches deep. The idea is the water comes from the rooftop, the driveway, the roadway, fills this up and slowly percolates into the ground. As it's moving through the soil, the water is getting cleaner. The plants are taking up the nutrients. There's a mulch layer in there where there's microbial activity that helps decompose some of the pollutants. So it becomes a really nice system, a very natural system, and these can be incorporated into almost any landscape. You can see here as an example, cross section of one, and I like showing it as a bathtub where it fills up uniformly. The bottom of the rain garden is flat. So the idea is water comes in, fills it up to about 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 inches of water in there. It'll sit in there, and over the next 12 to 24 hours, it'll slowly percolate into the ground, getting cleaner and cleaner. You'll notice on the left-hand side of the slide, it says buffer and slope. You'll see there's some stone there. Where the water comes in, we usually put some stone to slow the water down so it doesn't cause any erosion. And then when we get extra water, maybe 5 or 6 inches of rain, and the rain garden can't handle it, overflows. So in that case, we have another place on the other side of the rain garden where it would overflow. We'd have stone there too, so it doesn't cause any erosion when it overflows. You can see rain gardens, a couple different ones here. We love these because not only do they improve water quality, do they infiltrate water, and they really help with stormwater management, but they can look very beautiful and add to the value of a home. It can be blended into almost any existing landscape. Water can go directly to them by pipes, maybe through a drainage ditch or a swale, or even a curb cut, like an opening in a curb can go in there. I'll show you a picture of that shortly. So site selection, this is probably the most important slide of this presentation, showing you where you can put a rain garden. So the idea with the rain garden is supposed to fill up with water and slowly percolate into the ground. So you don't want it right next to your house if you have a basement, because there's a good chance the water is going to go into the ground and go into your basement. So you need to keep it about 10 feet away from your house. if you have a basement. If you don't have a basement, you still want to put it a few feet away from your house because you don't want the water right next to your foundation because that can cause some mold or mildew, and we don't want that to happen. We keep the rain garden far enough away from the septic system because the septic system is designed to, infiltrate wastewater into the ground. If you start adding stormwater to that, you will saturate that area and your septic system will fail. So we try to keep these separate at least by 25 feet. We never put a rain garden in a soggy place. Somebody always says, "Oh, I got this great soggy place, in my yard, and water always settles there and sits there for a while." Well, the rain garden is meant for the water to infiltrate into the ground. If you have a soggy place in your yard or a very wet place in your yard, it's either because the groundwater table is high or the ground is overly compacted and the water can't get into the ground. If it's overly compacted, we can uncompact it. We can loosen that soil up and still put a rain garden there. But the groundwater table is high. There's no place for the water to infiltrate into the ground. So we don't want to put a rain garden there. So number 4 talks a little bit about that. We want to keep about 2 feet below the bottom of the rain garden to the seasonal high water table. So the water table in your yard will vary throughout different times of year. In the wetter season, it'll rise up, and we want to make sure that the rain garden, when it's filled with water, the water has a place to go. We like digging rain gardens in flat areas. It's just easier digging. And the other picture on the right-hand side shows you the drip line of a tree. So we often think about that tree, the roots of that tree will extend out to the drip line to the edge of the canopy. So if we're going to build a rain garden and we're going to encroach on that area under the tree, we have to be very careful not to disturb the roots. The worst thing that could happen is you build this beautiful rain garden, but then you kill this beautiful tree. So you want to be very careful about that. I've built rain gardens, in that area a little bit, but it's always hand digging, always being very careful not to destroy the tree. For the rain garden, we use native vegetation, so things that are native to this area. And I know climate's changing. Eventually, the palm tree will be native to New Jersey, but not yet. So we're thinking about native plants. You also think about pollinators. We want plants that are going to attract butterflies and bees and help our environment. So you can see some native plants here, and they're very beautiful. This is the rain garden I was talking about, where we have a curb cut. The picture on the bottom left shows the existing condition, and then the picture in the center, in the top center, shows what it looks like after the rain garden was installed. What typically happens is when it rains, the water will hit the road, and the center of the road is a little bit higher than the side of the road. So the water runs from the center to the curb, and then travels along the curb until it gets to a catch basin or the end of the road and goes out into the stream. In this case, what we did is we put a curb cut in, and you can see that. Let me see. I turn my pen on here. You can see that curb cut here. So the water's traveling along the curb, and it'll go into this garden. It'll fill this garden up with 6 inches of water, and that garden will absorb the water, slowly percolate into the ground. Once this is filled with water, you can't take any more. The rest of the water will go down and keep going downstream and wind up in another rain garden or in the catch basin. But I like showing this big picture because it really shows the beauty of the rain garden and how it added to the aesthetics of the house and certainly increased the property value. So here's some different rain gardens that were built. This is one at a school. We do a lot of these at schools. In this case, we got volunteers involved. These mostly master gardeners. We did one at a library. This was one that was done in the shade, and you can actually see here, we did go under the tree a little bit. We were very careful about digging out there under the tree, okay? And this one's also interesting. Kids used to cut through this area to get to the front of the library, so we put a little stone path in there so they wouldn't trample the plants. So it gave them a place to walk. Here's one that we built outside of Board of Health in Woodbridge. What happens is whenever it rained, the water would just sit in this area and seep back into the offices. And every time we get 2 or 3 inches of rain, the folks in those offices, their carpet would be wet and it would be a terrible situation. So we built this rain garden, and now when you get 6, 7 inches of rain, no water winds up in their office. It all goes in the rain garden. The rain garden lets it percolate into the ground. This is just freshly planted. Eventually, these plants get much bigger and can occupy that area. Now they can look outside and see butterflies on pollinator plants as opposed to seeing the cars in the parking lot. Here's another one that was constructed, and here's some more plants. So, in shady areas, we can use ferns and different types of grasses. We have lilies and different plants that really can add to really nice aesthetics. So when we're digging out a rain garden, usually you have to have a depression, so we have to remove some soil. So where are we going to put the soil? Usually we haul it away, take it someplace. In this case, what we did was we excavated out the area for the garden, and then we mounded up the soil here. So we gave this land a little bit of topography, a little bit of contour, a little bit of shape, and then we didn't have to haul any of the soil away. So it saved us a lot of time and a lot of money, and it still came out to be a very beautiful garden. Here's one we built at a school, and you can see we use the existing inlet as the overflow. So this is the downspouts from the roof are internal, so they come out here, they go through the stone, they fill us up with 6 inches of water. Once you get 7 inches of water, it'll overflow and go into this inlet, and it'll go out to where it was going before. So we already had existing infrastructure to serve as the overflow for this garden. And you can see the coneflower and the black-eyed Susies. So beautiful plants in here that'll attract butterflies and look really nice. You wouldn't even know this was a rain garden unless you got close to it. It is a depression. It's taking roof runoff from this house, and it's absorbing the water into the ground. Like I said, it was incorporated into the existing landscape and looks beautiful. Here's one that was built at another library. It's taking runoff from this parking lot. So all the water from the parking lot comes in here, fills this up. So whenever you get 2 or 3 inches of rain, that water is going to go in this garden. It's going to infiltrate into the ground. You can see this a little bit more manicured garden, not such a wildflower look, but very discreet plants surrounded by mulch. There's a beautiful multi-stem river birch here. You can see different grasses, different flowering plants, different shrubs, all here to kind of add to the aesthetics of this property. And here's one that was built in front of the Hillsborough Township Municipal Building. This is a project that the township wasn't really excited about at first, but then they realized that there was funding available to do it, and their public works guys came out and helped build this. And this is a beautiful garden. Takes runoff from this patio area over here in front of the library and the municipal building. They built this pathway here, and actually this time of year they light the garden up with Christmas lights. And at the end of the pathway, they have Santa Claus, and kids come in and they wait along the path and to tell Santa what they want for Christmas. So it's a pretty cool feature for the town. Um, we've got a lot of different resources for you to be able to use to understand rain gardens and build rain gardens. There is a rain garden manual for New Jersey that we developed. You can go to the website and download the PDF. Basically tells you step by step how to build a rain garden, what kind of plants to use, gives you some great ideas. We also have a rain garden app. University of Connecticut, we partnered with them. So UConn has developed this app. And when you go in the app, you just go to the App Store, type in Rain Garden app. You can download it either for the Android or the Apple. And then once you download it, you open it up and you can click on New Jersey. And everything in there is New Jersey specific. The plants, the native plants for New Jersey, the design criteria for New Jersey. So when you size it, it's based on storms that we get in New Jersey, not that you get in Connecticut. But since Connecticut already developed the app, we took advantage of that and had them add New Jersey to their app. So I think what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get homeowners to feel like they can do a little bit of something for the planet, right? And everybody can build a rain garden in their house. Everybody can use this tool. Most of New Jersey's waterways are polluted. They're not meeting water quality criteria. We have big problems in the Barnegat Bay. There's a lot of localized flooding. Like I said, the rain garden is not going to absorb 10 or 12 inches of rain, but it will absorb the first 3 to 4 inches of rain, so it will help. Okay. And it's a very, very simple thing that you can do. So this is my contact information. If you ever want to reach out to me, you can send me an email and I'd be glad to help you. You can reach out through Save Barnegat Bay. They're doing some great work. And hopefully in the near future, we'll have some funding to be able to come into the Barnegat Bay watershed and help you folks build rain gardens. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for sharing all that very valuable information. The Rutgers Rain Garden Manual is an excellent resource that we often point our supporters and community members towards. So if you're looking to feel empowered as a homeowner as something that's very manageable that you can do on your property to make a difference, this is a great opportunity. So thank you very much, Chris.